Billionaire discovers bruised girl in the snow. Her inspiring whisper reveals an amazing change. The cold wind howled like a banshee, swirling snow into a blinding whiteout as billionaire Mark Hamilton gripped the steering wheel of his luxury SUV. He felt almost claustrophobic in the silence of the car, the weight of his solitude heavier than the snowflakes piling around him. Despite his wealth, a profound emptiness hung over him, as if the riches he accumulated became chains, binding him to an isolated existence far removed from the vibrant life he once knew. As he navigated the deserted road through the small Midwestern town of Havencrest, a flicker of movement caught his eye. There, huddled against the biting cold and snow, a faint silhouette emerged, a young girl, no older than 16, visibly bruised and trembling. Her lips barely moved as she whispered words of encouragement to herself. Mark squinted to hear her over the storm. "You can do this, Lily. Just keep moving," she murmured, a spark of resilience flickering in her tear-streaked face. Compelled by something deeper than duty, Mark slammed on the brakes and stepped out into the blizzard, the biting cold stinging his palms. "Hey, are you okay?" he shouted over the wind, realizing as he approached that she looked so vulnerable, lost in the harsh world around her. "Get in." His voice softened as he opened the car door, motioning her in. She hesitated at first, her wide eyes locking onto him like he might be a mirage. But then, feeling the promise of warmth, she climbed in. The instant she settled into the heated seat, Mark felt a profound connection. This girl, battered by life, was so much like him before success had come knocking. On their way to a local shelter, Lily recounted fragments of her story. Bruises etched on her skin reflected those in her heart, shaped by a broken home and harsh judgments from a community that didn't care to understand. Mark listened, his heart tightening. Her spirit reminded him of his own battles, every sleepless night spent clawing his way up from the dirt. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue at the shelter. Mark offered to fund Lily's education, hoping to ignite her potential, to nurture the bright light he saw flickering within her. But skepticism brewed among his elitist friends and townsfolk. "How can he understand?" they whispered. "It's a waste of time." Mark's intentions were met with scorn, and within his own family, cold shoulders greeted his newfound purpose. Voices of doubt began to drown out the compassion that sparked between him and Lily. As their stories intertwined, marked by bitter pain and shared hope, Lily stood before the town, speaking of resilience and tearing down the walls of prejudice. Could Mark truly bridge this chasm dividing them? The weight hung heavy. Would he muster the strength to break free from societal expectations and embrace this unexpected bond? Time was ticking, and as they stood face to face with the crowd, uncertainty loomed. But hope flickered in their hearts. A moment of change could be upon them. Then, the question lingered. Could they find warmth amidst the chilling winds of judgment and fear? Would this unlikely pairing endure? Or would the pressures push them apart when they needed each other the most? Mark stood there, heart pounding, as he watched Lily gather her strength. The crowd's murmur rose and fell like a restless tide, a mix of skepticism and curiosity. He could see uncertainty flickering in Lily's eyes, but she seemed determined to press on. "Just breathe," Mark whispered, taking her hand. Her skin was cold as ice, but the little squeeze she returned filled him with warmth. It was a reminder that she was still there, still fighting. With a deep breath, Lily stepped forward. "I know why you're all here," she began, her voice small but growing with every word. "You think I'm just another statistic, another broken girl searching for a handout." She took another breath, steadied by the faces watching her. "But you're wrong. I'm more than that. I want to be more than that." The crowd shifted, leaning in as she spoke, the icy chill forgotten for the moment. I've been bruised in ways you can't see, she continued. But every bruise has taught me that I can rise. I owe it to myself, to my dreams. What I need is not pity or judgment, but an opportunity. Mark felt his chest swell with pride. She was a warrior. The realization that she was fighting for her life and for him as well hit him like a thunderbolt. Unbeknownst to her, she had the power to inspire not just herself but everyone standing there, including him. As Lily bared her soul, he could sense the shift in the air. Some faces softened, eyebrows raised, others still clung to doubt, but that was okay. Change rarely happens overnight. I may not have a lot, but I have hope, she finished, locking eyes with Mark. In that moment, they both understood that their journey wasn't confined to a single speech or one act of kindness. It was ongoing, messy, and vibrant. What do you want? Someone shouted from the back, a skeptic looking to test her resolve. I want to be a nurse, she replied without hesitating. I want to help countless others like myself. But I need support to get there. Mark could see the flicker of disbelief in some of the eyes, but others were nodding, starting to connect the pieces together. I can't just save myself, she added, voice trembling slightly with emotion. I want to be a part of something bigger. I want to show that change is possible, even from the darkest places. There it was, the hook, the spark. Mark knew what he had to do, but what would it mean for their futures? He could already feel hesitation from his world closing in. Would he have the courage to stand with her against the tide of his past? Let us help you get there, he spoke finally, raising his hand to silence the crowd. I will match every dollar that anyone here donates today to help fund Lily's education. A ripple of murmurs went through the crowd, surprise and curiosity mingling in the air. Mark's mind raced. What would this commitment cost him? Would upper-crust socialites accept this sudden altruism? As doubts swirled, his heart raced with a blend of fear and exhilaration. The first hand went up, breaking the tension. Then another and another. Mark's heart soared. Could this shift bring them together? But as the warmth spread through him, a chill crept back in. Would the sacrifices required tear him from everything he had known? A voice echoed inside him, sharp and unsettled. Was he truly ready for the battle ahead? As the donations began to stack up, so did questions. Would the community accept this odd partnership? Or would they tear them apart? The moment held, suspended in possibility. Mark turned to meet Lily's grateful gaze, uncertainty dancing alongside hope. What would the day hold next? Lily stood there, the weight of the crowd pressing down on her shoulders. Each pledge, each hand raised was like a glimmer of sunlight breaking through a heavy blanket of clouds. She swept her gaze across the faces before her, searching for signs of belief. It was a kaleidoscope of emotions. Some skeptical, some moved. Are you ready? Mark asked softly, his voice cutting through the noise of the crowd. Lily nodded, even as her heart raced. There was no going back now. The support was building, but so were the stakes. She knew that their journey would not only test her but also his resolve. Mark took a step closer, his eyes locked onto hers. We're in this together, he assured her. You don't have to fight alone. With that promise, Lily straightened her back, determination blooming in her chest. I want to show everyone that we can make a difference, she said, her voice trembling again, but it was steadier now. Not only for ourselves but for anyone who feels lost, anyone who has ever been told they don't matter. Everyone here can be a part of that change. The crowd started to murmur in agreement. Conversations ignited, and Lily felt ripples of hope wash over her. It was infectious, energizing. People were no longer spectators. They were igniting a movement. Next to her, Mark checked his watch. It's time, he said, gripping her hand tightly. Let's take this beyond just today. We need to organize a fundraiser. A chance for you to tell your story, to inspire people from all walks of life. A fundraiser? She asked, swallowing hard. Do you really think it could work? Mark met her gaze, and in that moment, all her doubts faded. If anyone can rally a crowd, it's you, Lily. You've already showed them your heart. They want to believe in something good, something real. He started pacing slightly, the excitement buzzing off him. We could involve local businesses, organize events, maybe even push for scholarship funding. There's a college nearby that partners with community programs. As he spoke, ideas flowed, and Lily's heart soared. I've thought about wanting to do more. I want to connect with others in need, share resources. But what if they don't take me seriously? Mark shook his head emphatically. You've already taken that first step right here, right now. You've shown strength and people respond to that. Let us keep it going. They're changing their views even as we speak. Just then, a woman in the crowd raised her hand shyly. Could I help organize something? Her voice trembled, but the sincerity shone through. I know some people at the local business association who might be willing to pitch in. See? Mark beamed, and it felt as if the whole universe had shifted. More voices chimed in, offering assistance, sharing connections. Lily's heart raced at the realization of the impact she could have. But then, a twinge of fear snaked through her. What if she couldn't live up to their expectations? What if her past haunted her, holding her back when she needed to push forward? Suddenly, a loud voice from the back cut through her spiraling thoughts. But what if this does fail? It was a man, arms crossed, a shadow over his face. You think people will change just because you say so? A murmur of concern passed through the crowd, and for a moment, Lily felt the air thicken. But Mark stepped forward, his resolve unwavering. What do you think inspires change? Is it the people who stand idly by or those brave enough to share their stories? Lily took a deep breath, feeling the unity of support around her. What I've gone through is real, and I'm not ashamed of it. If I can inspire even one person to chase their dreams, to rise up, isn't that worth fighting for? The man narrowed his eyes, caught off guard by her fierce honesty. Maybe, he said slowly, uncertainty lacing his tone. With that, the crowd shifted again, the skepticism wavering like the sun breaking through the clouds. Mark glanced at Lily, and she could see the excitement mixed with worry on his face. They were standing on the edge of something big, but it felt so uncertain. What if they succeeded? What if they truly could change lives? As the crowd buzzed with energy, thoughts raced through her mind. Would their dreams sparkle or burn? Tomorrow, Mark said with rising enthusiasm, let us set up a meeting. Plan our first event. I want us to create something incredible together. Lily's heart raced. Here was a vision she had long sought, a chance to grab hold of her dreams. But could she follow through? As the crowd began to disperse, the promise of the next step filled the air. The question loomed. What would her first move be in this new world they were building? Lily woke up the next morning with butterflies in her stomach. The sun filtered through her curtains, illuminating the room with a warm glow. Felt like a fresh start. Today was the day she would begin to turn her words into action. She took a deep breath, rallying herself with a smile. I can do this, she whispered to the mirror. But the uncertainties still lurked at the back of her mind. Would her story resonate with those she wanted to help? Would she stumble over her words when it mattered the most? After a light breakfast, she pulled on her jacket and stepped outside, the crisp air biting at her cheeks. The streets felt different this morning, alive with possibility. As she walked toward the community center, she spotted a few familiar faces from the night before. They nodded and waved, their smiles genuine and encouraging. Lily's heart swelled. These individuals were no longer strangers. They were joining her fight, and that meant everything. Arriving at the center, she found her growing team gathered around a table, eager to brainstorm the fundraiser. Hey, everyone, she greeted, her voice echoing slightly in the large space. She took a seat at the head of the table, feeling a surge of warmth from the friendly faces around her. Mark stood up and raised his hands. Let us give it up for Lily. Without her inspiration, we wouldn't be here today. The room filled with applause, and Lily felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. Someone from the back spoke up. It was Sarah, the shy woman who had offered help the previous night. I reached out to my contacts at the local businesses, and a couple of them are excited to collaborate. They want to provide donations for a raffle. Lily's heart raced at the momentum building around her. She jumped in. "That's amazing, Sarah. We could set up a booth and showcase their donations. It'll be a win-win for everyone." Ideas flowed, bouncing around the table like bright, colorful balls. Dates were hashed out and tasks delegated. As excitement filled the room, Lily felt herself growing more emboldened. She shared her vision for a community event, one that would not only raise funds but create a sense of unity. "I want it to be a day where people feel seen and valued, an opportunity for everyone to share their stories," she declared. The group nodded in agreement, their enthusiasm palpable. It felt so bewitchingly grand, yet undeniably fragile. What if it all crumbled? What if people didn't show up? Mark leaned in closer, his voice low but firm. "Whatever happens, just remember it's about the journey, not just the outcome. Even if we help just a few, that still matters." His words reverberated in her mind. Maybe he was right. Maybe every little effort counted. Fueled by this newfound spirit, they finalized everything by mid-afternoon. As the meeting wrapped up, Lily's face hurt from smiling so much. Yet, amid the joy, a new anxiety settled in. Will anyone really connect with me? As they left the center, Lily caught sight of the same skeptical man from the night before, leaning against a lamppost. He was watching her closely, arms folded tight across his chest. "Are you really going through with this?" he asked, his voice skeptical yet softer somehow. Lily met his gaze, an inexplicable fire igniting within her. "Yes, we are," she replied, her voice steady. "It's time for everyone to be heard." The man raised an eyebrow, as if considering her words, then nodded slowly. "Good luck," he said, a hint of something softer in his voice. She watched him go, a whirlwind of emotion crashing over her. She was terrified but determined. What if this was more than just a fundraiser? What if it transformed lives, including her own? As she walked home, her breath visible in the cold, she thought of the stories waiting to be shared. The joy and pain, the struggles and victories. Would she be brave enough to share her own? The question loomed large. Could her deepest scars inspire others? And with each step, another thought fluttered around in her mind. What would happen if she faced her own truth? The weight of her thoughts hung heavily as Lily entered her home. The walls felt like they were closing in, filled with memories of her past that had shaped her into who she was today. The kettle's whistle broke her reverie, and she poured herself a warm cup of tea, letting the steam rise and warm her face. Sitting at her kitchen table, she caught sight of the notebook where she had scribbled down ideas for the event. Its pages held not just plans but pieces of herself, her hopes and fears, dreams of creating something meaningful. She flipped through the pages, her heart racing as doubts crept back in. What if her story wasn't compelling enough? What if people dismissed her voice? Just then, a knock at the door startled her. It was Mark, grinning widely, with a box under his arm. "Thought you could use a snack after all that brainstorming." Lily's heart lifted. "You didn't have to do that. But thank you." She stepped aside, allowing him to enter. "I know this whole thing is a big deal for you," he said as he set the box down. "I figured a little pick-me-up might help." "What did you bring?" she asked, trying to stifle a smile. "Homemade cookies. I may have added a little too much chocolate," he said, chuckling. "But hey, chocolate makes everything better, right?" As they settled into her living room, sharing the cookies and laughter, Lily felt a sense of warmth spreading through her. Maybe she wasn't alone in this after all. "You know," Mark began, glancing down at his cookie, "I admire what you're doing. It's not easy to put yourself out there, especially with your past." His words caught her off guard, a tangle of emotions swelling inside. "You don't know my past. I mean, what if no one connects with me?" That same flicker of determination sparked in his eyes. "You'd be surprised how many people struggle with the same things. When you speak from your heart, that's when connections happen. Your story might inspire someone else just by being honest." Lily nodded slowly, trying to absorb his encouragement. "But what if my truth is too painful? What if I break down?" "Then you break down. And that's okay," he said gently. "Those moments of vulnerability are what make us human. They bring us together." His words lingered, lighting a flicker of hope inside her. Yet a knot of fear still clung tightly in her chest. What if revealing her truth turned into a burden rather than a revelation? The realization hit her hard. This fundraiser wasn't just about money. It was about understanding, healing, and growth. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, pulling her from her thoughts. "I'll get it," she called, assuming it was just another neighbor. To her surprise, when she opened the door, she found the skeptical man from the street standing there, his expression softer than before. "I came to see how everything was going," he said, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. "I didn't mean to doubt you earlier. Just curious, I guess." Lily felt her heart skip. This was her chance. "We're working hard to create something special," she replied, letting her enthusiasm take hold. "You should come to the fundraiser." He hesitated, eyes narrowing slightly as he studied her. Will it really make a difference? His doubt stung, yet it spurred her on. It can. Change starts with conversation, with stories, with being heard. Maybe you have a story too? His gaze flickered, and for a breath, she thought she caught a glimpse of something buried within him. Fear, pain, perhaps hope. He started, his voice barely above a whisper. Would he open up to her? Would this all unfold in ways she couldn't predict? As Lily stared into his eyes, she felt the weight of possibilities. Every story had the power to transform, and maybe, just maybe, one conversation could begin to shift her world around. What if today became a turning point not only for her but for someone else too? Would they step forward together into the light? Lily took a deep breath, ready to move past the edge of uncertainty. But could she be brave enough to face what lay ahead? The silence hung in the air, thick with unspoken words. Lily's heart raced. This was the moment she had looked for, the chance to connect, to make a difference. She could almost hear her own voice echoing back at her, challenging her to be brave. "Look," she said, breaking the tension with a soft urgency. "I get it. Opening up isn't easy. But we all carry stories that are heavy. Yours could help someone, I promise." The man shifted, his eyes darting down to the ground, as if searching for answers that lay buried beneath his feet. "It's just my past isn't pretty. I don't think anyone wants to hear about it." "Maybe they do," she urged, taking a gentle step closer. "Sometimes what feels like a burden can resonate with others. You could show them they're not alone." "Isn't that worth it?" His brow furrowed. "And what if it doesn't? What if it pushes people away?" Mark stood nearby, watching them both, a flicker of encouragement on his face. Lily could feel the weight of his presence, like a trusted friend standing by. She shifted her gaze back to the man, who was still grappling with himself. "Please," she continued, her voice steady, "let me show you what I mean. At the fundraiser, there will be people from all walks of life, each with their own wounds. Sharing your story might just be what they need to hear." The man seemed to crumble a little at Lily's words. What was it in her voice that felt like home? Was it the warmth, the openness? Or was it simply her unwavering belief in the power of connection? "I'll think about it," he finally murmured, looking up to meet her eyes. Though hesitant, there was something softer in his gaze, a sliver of hope slowly emerging. "Can I at least get your name?" she asked, reaching out. "Jake," he whispered, a small smile breaking through the veil of his uncertainty. "Nice to meet you, Jake. I really hope you'll join us. You might be surprised at how much you help others by taking that leap." With that, she stepped back, giving him space. "And if nothing else, we'll have cookies," she added with a shy grin, trying to lighten the heavy conversation. As Jake chuckled, the ice seemed to thaw just a little. Mark, sensing the moment softening, interjected lightly. "I'll bring extra cookies for you to share." Then, "Everyone loves cookies, right?" Lily felt the warmth of laughter ripple through the room, her heart swelling. They were all on a journey together, and this moment, despite its uncertainty, felt like a turning point. Maybe there was a way forward after all. After a few more casual exchanges, Jake nodded goodbye, leaving Lily and Mark in a flurry of mixed emotions. "I can't believe that just happened," she said once the door closed. Maybe he'll come after all. Maybe this really is more than just a fundraiser. Mark smiled knowingly. You're building something much bigger than that, Lily. You're inviting people to be heard, to heal. And you're doing it by example. His words buoyed her spirit. But she also felt a crinkle of fear skirting at the edges. Could she hold her ground when the spotlight fell on her? The thought lingered as they cleared up, leaving a familiarity flooding the room. Just as she turned back to the kitchen, preparing to push her doubts aside, a message dinged on her phone. Curious, she picked it up, feeling a jolt of surprise seeing a name flash across the screen, a name she thought was long buried in her past. What does she want? She murmured, the air feeling charged with unanswered questions. What kind of changes had this message set into motion? And would it bring her closer to healing, or would it threaten to unravel everything she was just beginning to weave? Lily stared at her phone, the familiar name stirring a whirlwind of emotions in her chest. Diane, the girl who had once been her best friend, now a ghost from her past. Memories flooded her mind. Laughter, late-night talks, shared dreams of changing the world. But those dreams had been overshadowed by betrayal and silence when Diane made choices that hurt them both. Taking a deep breath, she opened the message, her fingers trembling slightly. Hey, Lily. It's been a while. I hope you're doing okay. I'd love to talk if you're open to it. Lily's heart pounded. Did she really want to reopen that chapter? The part of her that yearned for connection whispered to give it a shot. But another part, the one that had endured the pain of loss, hesitated. What if this was just a trap to pull her back into heartache? Mark, noticing her discomfort, leaned in. Everything all right? Diane just messaged me. She replied, keeping her voice steady, but she could feel her face flush. She wants to talk. Wow, that is big. He studied her closely, as if weighing the implications of the visit. Do you want to? I don't know. It's complicated. She ran a hand through her hair, trying to sort out the chaos in her mind. Would reopening old wounds be worth it? Part of her wished for closure, but another part feared it would simply reopen all the scars. Mark, sensing her turmoil, offered a small smile. You're so much stronger than you think you are. Remember, you've just encouraged someone else to confront their past. Maybe it's time for you to face yours. The truth of his words hit her, igniting a flicker of bravery. Since they began planning the fundraiser, she had been a champion of healing. Could she embody that same message for herself? I guess I never really got that closure, she admitted, feeling vulnerable. Diane and I had it all mapped out, but then everything fell apart. Mark nodded, understanding mirrored in his gaze. It's your choice, but remember you have the power to set the boundaries. You can control this conversation. She contemplated that as she stared back at her phone, feeling the weight of the decision hanging over her. I should respond, she finally said, her voice stronger than she felt. Before she could change her mind, she started typing a reply, her fingers moving with resolve. Hi, Diane. It's good to hear from you. I'm open to talking. Let us meet. With a deep breath, she hit send. As soon as the message zipped away, a rush of anxiety swirled inside her. She waited nervously for a response, trying to distract herself by focusing on the fundraiser details scattered across the kitchen table. Hours slipped by, dawn giving way to a warm afternoon, when finally Diane replied, asking if she could come over later that day. Lily's pulse quickened at the thought of facing her past. Are you ready for this? She whispered to herself as she tidied up, trying to project calm. Mark was still there, folding some flyers. Hey, if it gets heavy, remember you're not alone. You've got people who care about you. His reassurance soothed her, but she still felt the weight of the conversation they were about to have looming over her. Would it bring clarity, or would it only twist her heart further? The doorbell rang, and Lily froze, a flutter of anticipation tumbling in her stomach. As she opened the door, her breath caught in her throat, and she was met with a figure standing there, wrapped in an air of uncertainty and an old familiarity. Hey! Diane's voice was soft, almost cracking under the weight of the moment. What would this meeting bring? Could they truly reconcile? Or had the years of silence built a chasm too wide to cross? Lily took a moment to absorb Diana's presence, half expecting the old version of her friend to emerge. The girl who used to laugh until they cried, who shared secrets and dreams. But today, standing there with her shoulders slightly hunched and uncertain eyes, Diane seemed different, broken perhaps, just as much as Lily felt. "Hi," Lily managed to say, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Diane stepped inside, her dark coat heavy with the chill of the afternoon. The familiar scent of lavender conditioned the air, bringing a rush of nostalgia, along with the sting of old wounds. There it was, a cascade of memories intertwined with hurt, but also with hope. "Thanks for agreeing to meet," Diane said, her voice shaking with vulnerability. "Of course," Lily replied, motioning toward the small dining table where they had spent endless nights chatting about life. "You want some tea?" "Yeah, that would be nice." As she turned to prepare the drinks, the silence filled the room like an unwelcome guest. Lily's heart raced. They could share the warmth of a cup, but what about the chill between them? Diane fidgeted with her coat, revealing the faint tremble in her hands. Lily couldn't help but notice the way her friend was trying to shield herself, much like someone trying to avoid a sudden downpour without an umbrella. "Lily," Diane finally spoke, her voice a whisper. "I've thought about reaching out so many times. I didn't know how to face you." Turning to face her, Lily felt a wave of sympathy flooding her system. "You hurt me, Diane. That's not easy to forget." "I know," Diane replied, tears welling in her eyes, making them glisten like morning dew. "I never intended for things to end up this way. I made choices I regret." The honesty in her words pulled Lily's heartstrings taut. It was the admission she had longed for, yet it also shattered the dam protecting her emotions. "Why did you do it?" she asked, tears threatening to spill. "You were my best friend." "Because I was scared," Diane said, her voice thick with emotion. "I thought I was doing what was right for myself without thinking of you. I thought." She paused, choked by her own vulnerability. "I thought I could handle it alone." Lily closed her eyes for a moment, letting the weight of Diane's confession wash over her. The silence that followed was thick, heavy with the echoes of their old friendship. Would raw honesty bring healing, or more heartache? Looking into Diane's eyes, Lily saw the reflection of their shared past, and the remnants of a friendship that still had echoes of laughter. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice calm yet trembling. "I want to try," Diane said earnestly. "I want to rebuild what we had. I miss you so much. I miss us." In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited within Lily's chest. Could their bond be salvaged? It felt like a terrifying leap into the unknown. "I don't know if it can be the same," she confessed, "but I'm willing to talk." A wave of relief washed over Diana's face, her cheeks shimmering with unshed tears transforming into a hopeful smile. "Just one step at a time," Diane suggested, her nervousness now tinged with warmth. "Yeah," Lily replied, feeling the faint tug of possibility. The door to their past, which had felt so heavy moments ago, seemed to open just a crack. What lay ahead? Could they really navigate the complexities of forgiveness and rebuild the friendship that once meant the world to them? Mark suddenly entered the room, sensing the tension. "Everything okay in here?" His bright demeanor cut through the thick atmosphere. Sort of," Lily admitted, glancing between her friend and Diane's strained smile. Diane wiped her cheeks and stood taller. "I think we're ready to start over." As Mark exchanged a knowing look with Lily, both felt that this was just the beginning. Would the road to reconciliation be easy or bumpy? But what would happen when secrets rose from the past, secrets that could either unite or tear them apart again? Diane took a deep breath, glancing between Mark and Lily. She could sense the weight of their shared past hanging in the air, thick and unresolved. "I know it won't be easy," she said, her voice steadying, "but we have to start somewhere." Mark nodded, his expression shifting from concern to quiet support. "Whatever you need, I'm here." He shot Lily a glance that spoke volumes. She wasn't alone in this. The moment hung between them, It was oddly refreshing to have Mark's steady presence anchor the whirlwind of emotions swirling in the room. The warmth of the tea kettle whistled in the background, punctuating the silence. "Let us sit," Lily suggested, motioning towards the small couch that was so often their refuge. As Diane settled beside her, the cushions creaked, lingering under the weight of memories and hope. "I've missed this," Diane said softly, her shoulders finally relaxing, the tension trickling away like the steam rising from their mugs. "Feels like a lifetime ago." "It has been," Lily admitted, stirring her tea absent-mindedly. "But it also feels like yesterday." The words hovered awkwardly between them, pregnant with possibility. Diane looked down into her cup, and for a moment, Lily caught a glimpse of the girl she once knew, the spark beneath the surface flickering with uncertainty, but eager to shine again. "What was it like?" Lily asked suddenly, surprising herself. "After everything when I wasn't there?" Diane hesitated, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "Lonely," she confessed, her voice breaking slightly. "I thought I could just move on, but it was like trying to walk around with a hole in my heart. Every laugh felt hollow without you." The raw honesty struck Lily. "I felt like I was walking in slow motion, with this ache in my chest. Everyone around me was going on with their lives, but I felt stuck like I'd lost a part of myself." Diane nodded, her eyes glistening again. "That pain doesn't go away just because we ignore it." Their gazes locked, and in that fleeting moment, it seemed words were no longer necessary. A collective understanding bound them, and the gap between who they were and who they could be began to narrow. "What if we tried to be honest?" Lily proposed, the thought bubbling to the surface as she leaned forward. "I mean really honest. About everything." "Everything?" Diane echoed, eyes widening. "Yeah. I want to understand what happened. What pushed you away in the first place?" Lily continued, her voice steadying. "If I'm going to forgive you, I need to know how it all fell apart." Diane swallowed hard, her mouth twisting into a frown as she wrestled with her thoughts. "There are things I thought I could hide, but maybe that's what made it worse." "The hiding." Mark shifted slightly, sensing the turning tide, but remained silent, giving the two women space to navigate the complexities of their shared past. "I was afraid of disappointing you," Diane finally admitted, the confession tinged with a sense of relief. "I thought I was supposed to have it all together, but I didn't. And instead of being honest, I ran away. I thought I was protecting you." Lily's heart clutched. "You weren't protecting me. You were isolating yourself." "By keeping secrets," Diane agreed, a new resolve threading through her voice. "Maybe if I had just told you everything, we could have figured it out together." Lily took a moment to process, tears threatening once more to spill. "Then tell me. I want to know." A moment of silence lay heavy between them. Diane inhaled deeply, ready to reveal the truths that had haunted her. But just as she opened her mouth, Mark's phone buzzed, breaking the tension. "Sorry, I should check that," he said, stepping away from the couch. The interruption felt like a thin curtain drawn between them, masking the vulnerable moment. Diane looked at Lily, the anxious energy creeping back into her expression. "Do you really want to know?" Lily nodded, fear wrestling with anticipation in her chest. "More than anything." Diane bit her lip, uncertainty dancing in her eyes. "Then I'll tell you everything, but I need you to promise me something." "What?" "That you won't judge me for the choices I made," she said, voice trembling yet resolute. "I promise," Lily replied, heart racing. What shadows would spill into the light? But as Diane opened her mouth again, the door creaked open unexpectedly, laughter spilling in from outside. It was their old friend, Sarah, and she was oblivious to the tension lurking in the room, her bright energy bringing in an almost palpable contrast to the heavy discussion. "Hey, you guys," she called, stepping inside. "What's up?" Lily exchanged a worried glance with Diane. Was this the moment to share everything, or would they have to put their revelations on hold? Would the laughter from their friend drown out the truth they both so desperately needed to face? In that moment, the future felt precariously balanced. What would they choose now? As Sarah bounded into the room, her exuberance filled the space, momentarily lifting the weight of unspoken truths that hung heavily in the air. I heard about the fundraiser you two are planning, she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. I'm so proud of both of you. Lily felt a spark of warmth within her at Sarah's enthusiasm, but her heart still ached with the unresolved conversation. Yeah, we're trying to create something really special, Lily replied, forcing a smile. And I'm here to help, Sarah announced, clearly delighted at the prospect. I've been talking to more people in town who want to pitch in. It's going to be amazing. Diane looked at Lily, her eyes shimmering with a mix of gratitude and regret, realizing these joyous moments didn't erase the conversations that still loomed. That's really great, Sarah, Diane said, allowing the moment of excitement to wash over them. Mark returned from the hallway, his phone tucked away, and caught the tail end of Sarah's enthusiasm. What did I miss? He asked playfully. Just the fact that Lily and Diane are changing lives, Sarah responded, beaming at them both. I can feel the excitement buzzing in the air. That's the plan, Diane chimed in, trying to embrace the renewed energy filling their little gathering. Mark's gaze flickered between the two girls. I think it can't just be a one-time event. It should be an ongoing movement. A real community effort to build a support system for anyone who has ever felt like they're drowning. Lily nodded, her spirit lifting at the thought of transforming their mission into something bigger. We could host workshops helping people share their stories, just like we are, she suggested, feeling the possibilities unfurl again. Sarah clapped her hands together, eyes sparkling. Oh, I know how we can spread the word. We can use social media to invite everyone in town. Make it an event to remember. Diane's eyes glimmered with newfound determination. We can create a platform where everyone feels safe to voice their experiences, she added, her previous fears beginning to dissolve in the camaraderie. And just like that, the tension that had woven itself tightly around their hearts began to loosen. A shared vision replaced the silence, so they could dream bigger and brighter together. It felt like a second chance and opportunity to heal, not just for Lily and Diane, but for the entire community. As they planned and brainstormed, laughter bubbled forth again. Gone were the heavy moments of uncertainty that had plagued their conversations. They were building something holistic, an initiative that could unite hearts across Havencrest. Sarah rallied everyone, initiating new discussions about crafts, food stalls, and storytelling. Through collaborative efforts, they mapped out how to spotlight not only Lily's journey but the narratives of anyone willing to share. This isn't just about us. It's a way for everyone to connect, Lily realized aloud, excitement igniting in her chest. This whole event can be a celebration of resilience. Mark chimed in with fervor. Exactly. Let us not just raise funds, but create a space for shared healing brick by brick, person by person. In that moment, they forged a commitment, not only to the fundraiser but to nurturing their collective stories. Later that evening, after Sarah had left and Mark had taken his leave, Lily sat quietly, contemplating the day's events. The shadow of doubt that once loomed over her felt lighter now. The idea of reconciling with Diane became less daunting. The doorbell rang again unexpectedly, stirring a flutter in her heart. She opened it to find Diane on the threshold, uncertainty flickering across her face. Can we talk? Of course. Lily stepped aside, her pulse racing as they settled onto the couch once more. I'm really sorry about earlier, Diane said, allowing vulnerability to seep into her words. I don't want to ignore what we need to discuss. Lily nodded, blank partitions of judgment breaking down. She felt an understanding blossom within her. Let us start, then. Together they shared tentative truths, the pain, the betrayal, the longing for understanding. They exchanged heartbeats of remorse and forgiveness, weaving the past into a mutual tapestry of strength. The coffee they shared became a ritual, each sip a reminder of the warmth they had once felt together. As the night unfolded, laughter punctuated their conversations, echoing the bond that had almost slipped between their fingers. Maybe, Diane offered hesitantly at one point, we can announce at the fundraiser that we're working on rebuilding our friendship too? Lily grinned, a sense of unity blooming within her. Idea like that is a shared process. And so, they embraced the evening together, two girls with intertwined destinies, pulling strength from each other, as they both learned that growth could happen as gently as rain washing away grime. So many possibilities still lay ahead. But in that moment, they felt ready to face whatever came next. In the weeks that followed, their hearts resonated with hope. The fundraiser drew closer, illuminating their lives and revealing the potent beauty that came from vulnerability. The day of the event arrived, and the sky glimmered with promise. People from all walks of life converged, laughter and stories intertwining like branches of a sturdy oak. As Lily and Diane stood before a crowd of supportive faces, side by side, they could feel the fears of yesterday fading away. Together, they were forging not just connections but a community. What if this blossoming momentum transformed them all? What if reaching for the stars scattered above was just the beginning of a beautiful journey they would navigate together? In that moment, with hearts wide open and the past finally at peace, they stepped into the light, ready to embrace their next chapter. Now it's your turn. Don't wait even one more second. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And share this video. Immediately send it to at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.